They wear tuxedos that never come off, waddle about adorably, and entertain humans with their odd antics. But believe it or not, African penguins are under terrible threat. The decline of fish stocks, as well as oil spills, loss of habitat, and imbalanced ecosystems have made life very difficult for these little birds. But a social media campaign is hoping to do something to fix that.
South Africa is the home to the African penguin, but since the turn of the 20th century, we've lost a vast number of our African penguin population. Now, a mass awareness campaign through social networking is about to change that. The Penguin Run is initializing a tracking project that will happen over the course of 7 days, where the perilous journey of 5 African penguins will be documented. Titan, Skip, Siren, Fluke, and Hank will be fitted with satellite tracking devices, and we'll be able to follow them as they take to the high seas in a race to bulk up ahead of the molting season. Because the fish stocks they depend on are becoming increasingly scarce, these penguins will have to swim extreme distances to feed, where they're having to compete with fishing vessels and come face to face with predators like the Cape Fur seal. The fitted satellite tracking devices will help to determine how far these tuxedo birds need to forage to find food. These areas can then be protected and so restore balance to the ecosystem as a whole. How did the Penguin Run idea come about?
The Penguin Run is basically a digital and social campaign which follows the journey of 5 African penguins who are in a race against time to bulk up ahead of molt season, where they will lose up to 50% of their body weight. So our goal was really just to get the word out to the market about this little bird, which most people don't know. We've lost 99% of the species since the turn of the 20th century.
I imagine running a campaign like this, there's a lot of tricky parts, but just name a couple.
Obviously, these birds are very unpredictable, so with the map being live and we wanted consumers to be able to engage on that kind of level, we can't predict what's going to happen. We could never have a set date when these birds would arrive home or when we could close the campaign, and I think the public really appreciate that. But the second trickiest part has obviously been maintaining these 6 personalities, 1 for the Penguin Run and 5 different personalities for the birds. We really had to tap into our inner schizophrenia.
You can track these penguins by visiting the website thepenguinrun.com. A live tracking map is also available on the homepage with color-coded markers assigned to each penguin, allowing you to see their movements. Dr. Ross, can you explain to us what molting season is for penguins?
The penguins are birds and they have feathers, but because they live in the water, they need to have really good waterproofing. That keeps them warm, it stops the water from getting into contact with their skin. So every single year, every penguin has to do a complete feather replacement. And so the molting season is a critical period for them where they need to fatten up in order to go through this 2 to 3 week long fasting period.
Now, the tracking device that you guys use, tell us a little bit about it, and how do you attach it to the penguin itself?
So the satellite tracking device communicates with the Argus satellite network. So it beams a signal up, and then that comes back down to the Argus center. We can log in and get that information. And the way we do that is we actually attach the device onto the bird, and we actually fold it under the feathers with tape. So it sits nice and snug on top of the bird. And yeah, it will only come off when the birds come back to molt.
The tracking devices are waterproof to up to 100 meters deep, with each one costing 30,000 Rand. And then there's the cost of the satellite connection, 2,000 Rand per bird per month. How does this project fit in the broader spectrum of marine conservation?
The penguin is part of a marine ecosystem that's critically important to our economy. We have huge fisheries that are dependent on the same species that the penguin eats. They're at the base of the food chain, so all the hake and yellowtail and tuna and everything else that we eat also eat the sardine and anchovy that the penguins eat. So when the penguin numbers are in such trouble, it's telling us that there's a problem in the marine ecosystem more broadly. So yes, we're trying to save the penguin from extinction, but actually what we're also trying to do is to develop changes in how our fisheries are managed to make sure that the penguins and the fish that they eat and the fish that eat those fish and the fish that eat those fish that eat those fish and so on are in a much healthier state.
It's fun to catch just what these little guys are up to on Twitter. And thanks to the campaign, you are spreading the word and are part of something bigger, saving the fancy tuxedo birds from extinction.